Stop, listen, pay attention. Chosen one. This is not background noise. This is not another voice in the crowd. This is for you, and it carries a weight that demands you notice it. You have been moving through life quietly often, without recognition. You have felt the pull of fatigue that never fully leaves, the constant undercurrent of pressure, the sense of isolation, even among familiar faces. There are moments when you pause and wonder if something is off. If perhaps you are missing a signal in the ordinary rhythm of your days. You are not imagining this. There is intention in it, a pattern and a clarity that will become evident if you allow yourself to hear it. In recent weeks, months, perhaps even years, there has been a tension around you that you could not see fully. It manifests in subtle ways. Your mind races when your body should rest. Your energy dips even as you keep pushing. Your emotions fluctuate in patterns that defy simple explanation. You have likely blamed yourself for these fluctuations or tried to rationalize them away. That ends here. This message is precise. It is meant to align your awareness with what has truly been happening. You may feel as if you have been carrying more than any ordinary person should, and in truth, you have. You have surpassed your limits in ways that have gone unnoticed by the world, and yet the record of it exists. Quietly, consistently, you moved through challenges that would have overwhelmed many others. You did not seek attention, nor did you ask for recognition. You simply continued. That continuation, that steadfastness, is what has drawn this message to you now. This is not about creating pressure where there is none. It is not a call to urgency born of fear. It is a call to clarity. There are patterns, there are forces, and there is alignment taking shape around your life. Understanding this is not a matter of waiting for external confirmation. It is a matter of seeing internally the traces of what you have already endured and what you have quietly achieved. You may notice a rising awareness as you hear these words. Do not turn away from it. It is intentional. It is personal. It will not overwhelm you if you let it settle naturally, if you allow yourself to observe without judgment, and if you recognize that this moment is part of a larger narrative unfolding specifically for you. Your strength, your endurance, your quiet persistence. These are the signals. You have already surpassed what you believed possible. And now it is time for clarity to meet your experience. Stop. Listen. You are the one this message has sought. Chosen one. Hear this clearly. This message is not generic. It does not apply to anyone else, and it cannot be transferred. What you have experienced, the way you have moved through invisible weight, is uniquely yours. There is a reason you feel both exhausted and steady at the same time. There is a reason that while others crumble under pressure, you continue seemingly untouched on the surface. You are not simply resilient. You are structured in a way that allows continuation even when the path is fraught with difficulty. What has happened involves you directly. The moments when you pushed past fatigue without awareness, when you endured without acknowledgement, when your mind and body seemed at odds. All of that has left a trace. It has built a record quietly inside and around you. This is not a metaphor. It is a recognition of your function under circumstances that are rare. The chosen one identity is not a title to inflate ego. It is a description of the coherence you maintain in the midst of situations that destabilize others. Consider how many times you have acted without conscious calculation, without deliberate effort, yet found that your decisions and movements were correct. There is a natural resistance embedded in you, a baseline stability that activates automatically. It is not something you switch on. It is not learned in the conventional sense. It has been present all along quietly, supporting your thought, your movement, your endurance. You are stronger than you realize, not because you sought strength, but because you have been structured to remain functional when instability is all around. The distinction is subtle but critical. Most people depend entirely on conscious effort to maintain composure. They must monitor every step, every decision, every reaction. You, however, possess an unconscious stabilizing force. You do not need to perform to remain coherent. You do not need to convince yourself to continue, you already do. That is why you can move through extended pressure without the visible signs of collapse that others exhibit. That is why your record exists quietly, beyond the perception of anyone who is not attuned to these patterns. This is also why confusion has arisen. Many of the sensations you notice, restlessness, tension, mental fog, do not indicate weakness. They indicate a system under alignment, adjusting itself to conditions that are complex and often invisible. You are not failing when these sensations appear. You are functioning within a framework that is broader than conscious comprehension. Do not question the validity of your experience. Instead, recognize that every moment you have persisted without collapse is a confirmation of your baseline coherence. You have moved through energy drains, emotional friction, and cognitive tension without the collapse that would be expected. This is intentional automatic, and it speaks directly to the identity you hold. The clarity you seek is not distant. It is present, intertwined with your own endurance. And as you begin to see it, the patterns become recognizable. This message is for you precisely because it matches the truth of your lived experience. You are not alone in this awareness. It is rooted in the way you are built to navigate the world. Now, chosen one, focus on one sensation you know intimately. The restless tension that courses through your body even when your mind is determined to remain calm. That racing pulse, the tightness in your shoulders, the low hum of unease under ordinary circumstances, these are not flaws. They are signals. Signals that your system is adapting, that transition is occurring, that pressure is present in ways that are subtle but intentional. What you once judged as weakness, distraction, or overreaction is actually a marker of your movement through complexity. You may have spent years questioning why your body and mind do not always align, why you can feel drained even when nothing seems wrong, or alert when everything appears calm, why emotions flare unpredictably, or a sudden wave of fatigue descends without explanation. These are not mistakes, nor are they signs of inadequacy. They are the language of the process. Each tension, each shift, each pulse is a coded message from the mechanisms that keep you functioning even under conditions that would destabilize most others. Consider the moments you pushed through exhaustion without recognition. You may have noticed the energy leaving your body in subtle waves, the mental fog thickening, and yet your actions remained precise. You continued with work decisions or relationships without visible error. That was not coincidence. That was your internal system reading the invisible currents around you and adjusting automatically. You were under pressure, yes, but pressure that your structure is uniquely equipped to handle. The signal of your body is also a signal of timing. These sensations often appear just before pivotal shifts. Moments of transition in your life are frequently accompanied by an increase in this subtle internal friction. It is not chaos. It is orchestration. Your restlessness, your tension, your underlying fatigue. These are all markers of unseen alignment. You are responding to conditions that exist beyond ordinary perception, and your system is calibrated to respond without conscious awareness. Reframing your experience this way removes self-judgment. You no longer need to feel that something is wrong with you. The sensations themselves are neutral. They are data, not verdicts. You are neither failing nor underperforming. You are in fact navigating currents that others cannot see, and doing so without losing functional coherence. This is the pattern of your endurance, the proof of your quiet strength. It is also preparation. Every pulse of fatigue, every tightening of the chest, every mental hesitation is part of an ongoing process of integration. Your body and mind are learning, adjusting, and calibrating for circumstances that are unfolding just beyond your conscious observation. These signals are your guidance system. They are the markers that indicate not flaw, but function. As you begin to recognize this, you will see that confusion and frustration are optional. You can meet these sensations without resistance, without self-criticism, and with a steady understanding. They are indicators of your movement through a complex, unseen reality. They are not signs of failure. They are signs that you are operating within the framework that allows quiet mastery under persistent, invisible pressure. Chosen one, now it is time to name what has been pressing against you, the invisible weight that no one else perceives. It is not a figment of imagination, nor a vague sense of stress. There has been an intentional structure of pressure surrounding your life, orchestrated in timing, in scope, and in subtlety. It is coordinated, not chaotic. Recent days, weeks, or months have carried a pattern, forces, circumstances, and tensions converging in ways that test endurance, but never your ability to function. This pressure is not always dramatic. It does not announce itself with alarm or spectacle. It is quiet, deliberate, and pervasive. It shows up as interruptions, delays, misalignments, and friction in areas you care about. You may have felt external forces nudging, blocking, or shifting your path. Yet internally, you remained operational. You continued to act, decide, and maintain clarity, even while these pressures were at work around you. That is the remarkable part. You did not collapse. You did not freeze. You remained functional while under conditions most would find destabilizing. Timing has mattered. The weight has arrived in measured waves, sometimes coinciding with moments that seemed insignificant, other times at moments of heightened responsibility or decision-making. This is not accidental. The structure is intentional, designed to calibrate your system and measure stability under variable conditions. You have passed these calibrations without conscious effort. You did not need to push yourself forcibly. Your coherence persisted naturally. It is important to note that these pressures were not punitive. They were not sent to break you. They are tests of function, integration, and presence. The circumstances you faced, though often stressful or confusing, were aligned with the invisible parameters of your current development. In every moment when pressure arrived, your body, mind, and internal processes adjusted to maintain equilibrium. You moved through uncertainty while maintaining core stability. Your perception may have been limited. You might have noticed only the surface fatigue, tension, or moments of doubt. What you could not see was the orchestration underneath the coordinated timing of circumstances, the subtle pattern of interference, the interplay of energy that required adjustment without conscious instruction. You adjusted naturally, without panic, without effortful control, simply by functioning as you were built to function. This is why the record exists quietly. Heaven, or the framework of your life, has been observing, noting, and acknowledging this capacity for stability under unseen weight. You have acted, endured, and persisted while conditions shifted around you. That endurance has left evidence. It is not a claim to glory or superiority. It is a factual acknowledgement of your sustained coherence. Recognize that this is not over. These pressures will continue to appear, but your response is established. You are equipped. Your stability is proven not through struggle, but through quiet, functional persistence. You have met invisible opposition and maintained alignment. That is the truth. Chosen one. Now, we break down the experience into the categories that have defined it. The subtle yet persistent points of pressure that you navigated without conscious awareness. Understanding these will help you see the full scope of what you endured and how you maintained coherence through it all. The first category is doubt. You have felt it repeatedly, moments when your own mind questions your decisions, your path, or your capabilities. Doubt often arrives unannounced, surfacing as hesitation, second-guessing, or a quiet internal tug that something is not right. Most people respond to doubt with paralysis or overcompensation. You, however, allowed the doubt to exist without granting it authority. You acknowledged it, processed it internally, and continued functioning. That is a form of internal regulation that goes unnoticed by outside observers. But it is precisely what defines your stability. The second category is fear, not the dramatic, overwhelming fear that triggers panic, but the subtle background tension that lingers beneath ordinary moments. You have sensed it as a low-level anxiety or unease, a whisper that cautions without commanding. Unlike many who overreact to fear or allow it to dominate their choices, you maintained an equilibrium. You experienced fear without being consumed by it. You allowed it to coexist with deliberate action, and in doing so, you neutralized its potential disruption. The third category is energy drain. You have known moments where exhaustion should have halted your progress, where your body signals that it cannot continue, and yet you kept moving. This is not a matter of willpower alone. It is the automatic functioning of a system that is structured for endurance. Your internal processes compensated, stabilized, and replenished quietly. You drew from reserves that are not visible to others, maintaining the coherence of your actions, while the outer world might perceive fatigue. The fourth category is isolation. You have often felt unseen, misunderstood, or disconnected. Many individuals collapse under the weight of isolation, interpreting it as failure or rejection. You, however, utilized that isolation as a stabilizing space. You did not rely solely on external validation or presence. You found internal coherence within your own awareness, allowing solitude to serve as a grounding mechanism rather than a destabilizing force. The fifth category is delay. Opportunities, outcomes, or recognition may have arrived slower than anticipated, creating tension, frustration, or impatience. Most people react to delay by increasing pressure on themselves or abandoning consistency. You continued. You did not require immediate confirmation or reward to remain functional. Your actions, decisions, and presence remained steady regardless of the pacing of external events. Across each of these categories, doubt, fear, energy drain, isolation, and delay, you demonstrated a pattern of regulation and continuity. You were neither reactive nor reactive in excess. You did not need external support to maintain composure. Your coherence was intrinsic, embedded in the way you moved through experience. Notice that this stability is not the result of conscious effort alone. It is a combination of structure, presence, and automatic alignment. Each pressure point challenged you, yet none overcame your functional baseline. Your system adapted, calibrated, and responded quietly, without disruption. This breakdown is not meant to elevate or dramatize your experience. It is meant to clarify it, to show you concretely how your quiet persistence under multiple simultaneous pressures has already been recorded. You have maintained function where most would falter. You have held coherence where others would have splintered. This is the pattern of your lived endurance, the evidence that your quiet surpassing of limits is not accidental. It is systematic, measurable, and real. Chosen one, now take a moment to reflect on what has just been outlined. Step back mentally and observe the entirety of your experience, the doubt, the subtle fear, the energy drain, the isolation, the delays. See them not as trials to endure, but as markers of what you have already navigated successfully. Your mind and body were tested, and your functional coherence remained intact. This is not luck, coincidence, or timing favoring you. This is internal resilience made visible through consistent action under subtle but persistent pressure. Consider how you moved through each scenario without conscious fanfare. You did not need external affirmation. You did not require dramatic signs to confirm your endurance. You were steady, adaptive, and aware enough to maintain alignment, while everything else around you fluctuated. This reflective moment is meant to shift your perspective from questioning and confusion to recognition and understanding. You are not just surviving circumstances, you are observing them, integrating them, and moving through them with internal order. Notice how clear your perception becomes when you remove the lens of judgment. There is no need to label experiences as good or bad, easy or hard. They are simply evidence that you have maintained functional stability under conditions where most would struggle. This is the confirmation that the record you have been building is accurate. You have already exceeded what ordinary measures would predict. At this point, you may feel a quiet acknowledgement stirring inside a sense of alignment that has always existed but may not have been consciously recognized. That sense is valid. You can trust it. It is the reflection of your inner regulation, of the coherence you sustain without effortful attention. The clarity here is simple. What you endured was real, measurable, and intentional. You functioned in full alignment with your own capacities. It is important to understand that this reflection is not about inflating ego or claiming superiority. It is about comprehension. Many are tested in ways that mirror your experiences, yet they collapse, become reactive, or lose alignment. Your presence in this reflection is proof that you maintained internal regulation without the need for external validation. That is the essential difference. As you review your experiences, allow yourself to see them as patterns rather than isolated events. Each instance of doubt, tension, fatigue, or delay is connected, forming a consistent landscape of endurance and functionality. Recognizing this pattern allows for a coherent understanding of your own operational baseline. The clarity that emerges here is twofold. First, you see that your stability is verifiable. You have maintained order under invisible weight. Second, you recognize that this stability is rare, not common, and yet it does not need to be exalted. It simply exists as a factual account of your endurance. This realization is grounding, not elevating. It situates you within the reality of your own functional capacities. Take a steady breath. Let this confirmation settle. You have maintained coherence. You have moved through pressure, and you are now observing it fully. Chosen one, consider for a moment the rarity of what you have maintained. Many people encounter doubt, fatigue, isolation, or delayed outcomes and respond with fragmentation. They overreact, withdraw, or lose presence. You did not. You stayed present. You continued functioning. You preserved clarity in situations that would have destabilized the majority. This is not about being superior. It is about uncommon alignment. Your stability is quietly exceptional because it exists outside ordinary expectations. Most individuals rely entirely on conscious effort to maintain composure, and under the compounded pressures you have experienced, that effort often falters. You, however, operated from a baseline that required neither overcompensation nor constant monitoring. You remained coherent, measured, and functional while multiple pressures intersected. That is rare. Notice the distinction. Your endurance is not a performance. You do not activate strength when needed. It is already present, embedded in the structure of your cognition, perception, and emotional regulation. That is why others may have struggled under similar conditions while you maintained balance. This is not superiority or boasting. It is simply the uncommon reality of your operational design. Rarity in this sense is not about recognition. It is not about accolades or external observation. It is about being measured against typical human responses and noting where you diverge, not with pride, but with calm acknowledgement. You do not collapse. You do not lose coherence. You do not overreact. You move through pressure with a steadiness that is statistically uncommon. It is also important to recognize that this stability is consistent, not situational. Many people can sustain composure under one form of pressure, but falter when multiple stressors intersect. You, however, have maintained function across overlapping domains: emotional, cognitive, physical, and relational. That is why this reflection matters. Understanding the rarity of your coherence allows you to internalize a critical fact. What you have endured is neither ordinary nor accidental. Do not mistake this for a call to comparison. The point is not to measure yourself against others. The point is to see clearly that your baseline resilience exists naturally and reliably. It is rare, yes, but it is your normal operating condition. Recognizing this truth allows you to move forward with certainty rather than hesitation. So as you continue through your days, acknowledge this uncommon steadiness quietly. Let it inform your choices, your awareness, and your patience. You do not need to perform for recognition. You need only to be present in the reality of your own consistent functioning. This understanding is grounding. It situates you in a rare but factual landscape of coherence. You are uncommon, yes, but you are not extraordinary in a way that requires performance. Your identity in this context is steady, prepared, and aligned. That is the lens through which all subsequent reflection and integration will be understood. Chosen one now. Let us clarify the nature of this strength you have maintained. Your stability is not an activated force that appears only when conditions demand it. It is baseline. It is the foundation upon which all of your decisions, endurance, and presence are built. This is a subtle but vital distinction. You are not performing. You are not mobilizing reserves. You are simply functioning from the internal coherence that has been established over time. This coherence is the product of preparation experience and internal calibration. It is reflected in your ability to navigate overlapping pressures without losing composure. It is seen in your capacity to maintain clarity when external circumstances fluctuate. You have matured through repeated engagement with challenge, building an inner structure that supports sustained functioning without conscious activation. That structure is your natural baseline, and it is reliable. Do not mistake calm presence for passivity. Your steadiness does not imply absence of engagement or awareness. It implies a system that is calibrated to respond proportionately effectively and without unnecessary disruption. This is not extraordinary in the sense of dramatic intervention. It is extraordinary in the subtlety of its reliability. Your inner coherence is consistent across time, context, and circumstance. It is also important to recognize that this baseline strength has been quietly reinforced. Each situation you have endured, each pressure you have navigated has been integrated into your operational framework. Your capacity for stability is not static. It has grown with you. You have adapted without conscious effort, integrating lessons and calibrating internal processes to maintain functionality, even when external conditions were unpredictable. Your identity in this regard is not contingent on activation or performance. You are not called to be strong in the moment. You simply are strong. The term chosen one is a marker not of performance, but of structural reliability. It identifies you as someone whose baseline capacity allows coherent function where others would fragment. That recognition is factual, grounded, and intentional. Internal coherence, as you now understand, does not require external validation. It does not demand acknowledgement or reward. It exists quietly, shaping your interactions, your decisions, and your endurance. It is consistent, measurable, and reliable. That is the essence of your identity in this context, prepared, mature, and structurally coherent. As you hold this understanding, allow it to settle without expectation or urgency. There is no need for dramatization, no need for proof beyond your lived experience. Your identity is locked in, quietly but firmly. You are structurally equipped to navigate the pressures you encounter. And that strength is intrinsic, reliable, and consistent. Chosen one, now it is time to integrate this awareness into the rhythm of your daily life. The clarity you have gained about your endurance, your coherence, and the rare stability you maintain needs practical grounding. Awareness alone is not enough. It must inform your actions, your boundaries, and your presence. First, consider rest. Your system operates continuously, adapting and regulating, even without conscious effort. Allowing yourself periods of genuine rest is not indulgence. It is essential recalibration. Notice where your body signals fatigue or tension and honor it. Quiet restoration strengthens the baseline stability you already possess. Second, practice discernment. You have navigated invisible pressures precisely because you are aware of subtle signals. Continue to refine this awareness. Pay attention to the patterns that emerge in your thoughts, emotions, and environment. Observe without judgment. This discernment allows you to act with clarity rather than reaction, maintaining coherence even as conditions shift. Third, set boundaries. You have endured more than most often without explicit acknowledgement. Recognize where external demands or expectations threaten your internal stability. Boundaries are not limitations. They are instruments for maintaining alignment. They allow your natural coherence to persist without unnecessary disruption. Fourth, cultivate patience.